The trailer park was a festering pit of despair, a tangle of sagging roofs and busted dreams baking under a Tennessee sun that didn't care who it burned. I'd grown up here, Roxanne Marie Tanner Roxie to the few who didn't hate me, and at 23, I thought I'd seen the bottom of the barrel. Mom's endless parade of loser boyfriends, the roaches that staged nightly raids on our kitchen, the way the old men leered from their porches when I walked by in my frayed denim shorts. But the night Tammy-Lynn decided to auction me off to my own stepbrother, I realized the barrel had a trapdoor, and I was plummeting through it. It was a Tuesday, the kind of sticky March evening where the air clung to your skin like a bad lie. I was elbow deep in the sink, scrubbing grease off a skillet that had seen more bacon than a pig farm, while the radio crackled with some whiny country tune about heartbreak and pickup trucks. Mom stumbled in from the porch, her bleach blonde hair a rat's nest, her Virginia Slim dangling like it was glued to her lip. She'd been at the whiskey again, her eyes were bloodshot, her leopard print tank top sliding off one bony shoulder, and she flopped onto the couch with a groan that rattled the trailer's thin walls. "Roxanne, baby," she drawled, flicking ash onto the carpet like it was confetti, "we gotta have us a serious talk about your future." I didn't bother looking up. "My future's peachy, Mom. Got a double shift at Bucky's Diner tomorrow. Might even scrape enough tips to fix the Chevy's muffler." She snorted, a wet, ugly sound that made my skin crawl. "Fry slinging and a broke-ass car ain't no future, girl. You're 23, still sponging off me. No man, no nothin'. Time you settled down proper." I scrub it harder, the sponge squeaking like a dying rat. "Ain't settling for nobody round here. Every guy in this dump's either drunk, broke, or both. I'd rather marry a possum." "That's 'cause you ain't looking close enough," she said, her voice taking on that scheming lilt I'd learned to dread. She sat up, pointing her cigarette down the hall like a witch casting a spell. "Dwayne's right here, Roxie. Your stepbrother. Good boy, works steady at the slaughterhouse, pulls in decent money. You two'd make a hell of a pair." The skillet slipped from my hands, crashing into the sink with a clang that echoed like a gunshot. I spun around, soap suds dripping onto the grimy linoleum, my heart doing a sick little flip. "Dwayne, are you drunk or just plain crazy?" "He's my stepbrother, Mom." "That's disgusting." She waved a hand, ash fluttering like dirty snow. "Ain't blood related, ain't illegal. I looked it up on my phone last week, had to wait in line at the Dollar General. Got bored. And besides, Earl and me been planning this. We want to keep the family tight, you know. Merge the bloodlines proper like." I stared at her, my jaw dangling like a broken hinge. Dwayne wasn't just family, he was a walking nightmare wrapped in flannel and bad intentions. He'd lumbered into our lives 5 years ago when Mom shacked up with his dad, Earl, a barrel-chested loudmouth who smelled like motor oil and cheap beer. Dwayne was 6'3", built like a linebacker who'd let himself go, with pale, unblinking eyes that tracked you like a hawk sizing up its next meal. He mumbled to himself, sharpened knives he never used, and had this creepy habit of standing too close, his breath hot and sour. I'd caught him outside my window at 3 a.m. last month, staring up with a twisted smile, fogging the glass until I screamed at him through the screen. He'd muttered something about watching the stars and shuffled off. Then there was the shoebox I'd found under his bed. Don't ask why. I was snooping, stuffed with Polaroids of me sleeping, my hair fanned out on the pillow like some kind of shrine. I'd burned them in the backyard, choking on smoke and bile, and told myself it was a one-time thing. But now Mom was serving me up to him on a platter, and my stomach churned like I'd swallowed a live snake. "Mom," I said, my voice trembling despite my best efforts, "Dwayne's not right in the head. You've seen him, hell, you know him. He's creepy as sign. I'm not marrying him, and I sure as hell ain't having his kid." She stubbed out her cigarette in an ashtray overflowing with butts and leaned forward, her bloodshot eyes narrowing. "You listen here, Roxanne Marie. I didn't raise you to be ungrateful. Dwayne's got a job, a paycheck more'n you can say with that high school diploma and your greasy diner gig. This ain't just about you, neither. It's about us. U.S.?" I snapped, crossing my arms. "What's that supposed to mean?" Her voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper, like she was letting me in on some grand secret. "Earl's got that insurance payout coming from his mama's estate, 50 grand, maybe 60 if the lawyers don't screw us. But he's holding it over my head, saying he won't split it unless we tie the families together permanent. You marry Dwayne, we get the money, and I can finally get out of this shithole. Buy me a little condo down in Daytona, white walls, ocean breeze, margaritas by the pool. My golden years, Roxie." I laughed, a sharp, bitter bark that bounced off the walls. You're selling me off for a beach condo. That's low, Mom, even for you. What's next? You gonna trade me for a timeshare? It ain't sellin', she yelled, throwing her hands up so hard her tank top slipped further, flashing a bra that had seen better days. It's strategy, baby. Dwayne's sweet on you always has been. You'd be doing him a favor, setting him straight. And think of the kids, his big old blue eyes, your pretty chestnut hair. They'd be stunners, Roxie. Little angels. I gagged, literally gagged, the bile rising so fast I had to swallow it down. I'm done, I muttered, grabbing my jacket off the hook by the door. I need air before I puke all over your strategy. Roxanne, you get back here, she hollered, but I was already out the door, stomping into the chilly night. The trailer park was quiet except for the hum of generators and the distant bark of a chained-up mutt. The air smelled like gasoline and pine, sharp enough to cut through the fog in my head. I lit a cigarette. Mom's bad habits had sunk their claws into me years ago and paced the gravel lot, my boots crunching with every furious step. How had it come to this? My own mother, pimping me out to a psycho for a retirement plan. And Dwayne thinking he'd get his sweaty paws on me. I'd rather claw my way through a dumpster fire than let that happen. A low whistle sliced through the dark, and my blood turned to ice. I spun around, and there he was, Dwayne, leaning against the rusted-out Pontiac that had been rotting in our yard since I was a kid. His flannel shirt hung open despite the cold, showing a chest matted with dark hair, and his lips curled into that creepy smile I'd seen in too many nightmares. The streetlight caught his pale eyes, making them gleam like a predator's, and my cigarette trembled between my fingers. Roxie, he rasped, his voice like gravel dragged over glass. Mama Tammy told me the good news. Said you're warming up to the idea. I took a step back, my heart slamming against my ribs. There's no good news, Dwayne. She's lost her damn mind. And so have you if you think I'd ever. Don't be like that, he cut in, pushing off the car and closing the distance. His boots thudded on the gravel, each step a hammer to my nerves. We'd be good together, Rox. I'd take care of you, build you a house out of cinder blocks, real sturdy. Maybe get us a couple pit bulls, keep the yard safe. And the babies. He licked his lips, slow and deliberate, and I swear I nearly lost my dinner right there. They'd be perfect, strong like me, pretty like you. I turned and ran, my boots slipping as I sprinted for the park's exit. Gravel sprayed behind me, my breath coming in ragged gasps as I hit the highway, the cold air burning my lungs. I didn't stop until I was a mile out, doubled over by a flickering streetlight, my hands on my knees. I had to get out of the trailer, out of this twisted family scheme, out of this whole damn town. But how? I had $47 in my bank account, a Chevy that rattled like a death rattle, and a mother who'd apparently decided I was her golden ticket to Daytona Beach. I was trapped, a fly in a web I hadn't even seen being spun, unless I fought back. Charlotte's place was my only shot. She was my best friend 5 years older, a bottle-blonde tornado who'd escaped her own trashy roots and landed on her feet, sort of. She slung drinks at the Rusty Spur, a dive bar where the jukebox only played Hank Williams and the fight started before the sun went down. I showed up at her apartment, a cramped one-bedroom above a laundromat, banging on the door until she yanked it open, her hair in rollers, a cigarette dangling from her lips. Jesus, Roxie, it's midnight, she grumbled, stepping aside to let me in. You look like you've seen a ghost. Or worse. Worse, I said, collapsing onto her couch. Her tabby cat, Muffin, hopped up beside me, purring like a motor as I scratched his ears. Mom's lost it, Charla. She wants me to marry Dwayne and have his kid. Says it's for some inheritance money Earl's got comin'. Charla froze, her cigarette halfway to her mouth. Dwayne the creep, your stepbrother who stares at walls and talks to himself. She wants you to shack up with him and pop out his spawn. Yeah, I said, burying my face in my hands. She's got Earl in on it, some 50 grand payout they won't split unless I tie the knot with that freak. She's cowlin' it, merging the bloodlines. Charla whistled low, grabbing a bottle of bottom-shelf tequila from the counter. That's some next-level trailer park soap opera shit, Rox. Here, drink. She poured 2 shots, shoving one into my hand. It was Nina. By now we'd talked through the night, but time didn't matter when your life was imploding. I downed the shot, the burn steadying my nerves. She's serious, Charla. And Dwayne, he cornered me tonight, talking about cinder block houses and pit bulls and babies. I ran, but I can't keep running here. They've got me boxed in. She lit another cigarette, blowing a perfect smoke ring. Not boxed in yet, sugar. You gotta get out of that hellhole for good. I got a cousin in Memphis, Ricky, runs a tattoo parlor. He's always bitchin' about needing a receptionist. You could crash with him, start over. Memphis? I said, sitting up. That's far enough, maybe. But I got no money, $47, and a prayer ain't gonna cut it. How much you need? She asked, tapping ash into a chipped mug. Few hundred gas, food, maybe a bus ticket if the Chevy craps out. I ain't got nothing to sell, though. Mom's jewelry's all fake, Earl's tools are junk. What about that shotgun? Charlotte cut in, her eyes glinting. Earl's always bragging about that Remington 870 in the closet. Says it's vintage, worth $1,000. He'd never notice it was gone till you're halfway across the state. I froze, the idea sinking in. Steal it? That's crazy. Crazier than marrying Dwayne. She shot back. Pawn it at Jimmy's on Route 9. Guy, don't ask questions. You'd have cash in hand by morning. I chewed my lip, the tequila buzzing in my veins. It was insane, but it was a lifeline. I'd have to be quick. Mom's pushing this hard, and Dwayne's acting like we're already engaged. Then we move tonight, Charlotte said, grinning like a fox. I'll distract M, drop off a casserole or some bullshit excuse. You sneak in, grab the gun, and we'll hit Jimmy's before they know what's what. My heart pounded, but I nodded. Okay, let's do it. That night, the trailer park was a black void under a moonless sky. Charlotte's beat-up Ford idled at the edge of the lot as I crept back to the double-wide, my pulse hammering like a drum. Dwayne's snores rattled through the walls, his beer stench thick in the hall. Mom was passed out on the couch, an empty bottle at her feet. I eased open the closet, the hinges squeaking like a scream in the silence, and grabbed the shotgun, cold, heavy, a ticket to freedom. I stuffed it into my duffel with my clothes and bolted. Charlotte gunned it the second I jumped in. Go, 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 she hissed, peeling out. We hit Jimmy's pawn shop in 20 minutes, the neon sign buzzing like a dying fly. The guy behind the counter, Jimmy himself, I guess didn't blink at the gun, just handed me $600 in crumpled bills and waved me off. Enough? Charlotte asked as we sped toward the bus station. Barely, I said, clutching the cash. But it'll do. We were 2 blocks out when my phone buzzed. A text from Dwayne. Where you at, Roxie? Mama says we're setting a date. I got you a ring. A blurry photo followed a cheap silver band with a chipped stone sitting in his hairy palm. I blocked his number, chucked the phone out the window, and watched it shatter on the asphalt as we roared into the night. The Greyhound to Memphis was a rolling coffin, sticky seats, stale air, a guy next to me who snored like a chainsaw. But it was freedom, or close enough. I sank into a window seat, watching the neon glow of the pawn shop fade as we hit the highway, the road stretching west like a promise I wasn't sure it'd keep. By dawn, I was in Memphis, the Mississippi River glinting under a bruised purple sky, the city waking up with horns and hawkers and the faint twang of a guitar from some all-night bar. Ricky's Inc. was a grimy hole on Beale Street, wedged between a pawn shop and a liquor store, its neon sign flickering like it was begging to die. The bell jangled as I stepped in, duffel over my shoulder, and a guy looked up from behind the counter. Lean and wiry, with a basket and a sleeve of tattoo skulls, roses, a dagger through a heart. He had Charlotte's sharp cheekbones but darker, meaner eyes. You Roxanne? He asked, wiping ink-stained hands on a rag. Yeah, I said, shifting on my feet. Charlotte sent me. Said you might have a job. He smirked, sizing me up like I was a car he might buy. Might. You ever work a register? Answer phones, slung fries and dodge drunks at a diner, I said. I can handle it. Good enough. He jerked his head toward a stool. Name's Ricky. $10 an hour, cash under the table. Crash in the back room if you want, but don't touch my shit. The back room was a closet with a cot, a sink, and a cracked mirror, but it beat the trailer by a country mile. I dropped my bag and sank onto the cot, exhaustion slamming into me like a freight train. For the first time in days, I let myself breathe, thinking maybe, just maybe, I'd outrun the madness. That lasted 12 hours. I was sweeping the shop floor the next morning when the bell jangled again. I looked up, expecting a biker wanting a skull tat, but instead, I saw him, Dwayne, filling the doorway like a storm cloud with legs. His flannel was sweat-stained, his hair greasy, and those pale eyes locked onto me with a hunger that made my skin crawl. Roxie, he said, stepping inside, his boots thudding on the tile. You ran off quick, didn't even say goodbye. I dropped the broom, my heart clawing up my throat. How the hell did you find me? He grinned, showing crooked teeth. Mama Tammy's got her ways. Tracked your phone for you, ditched it. Took me a while to figure Memphis, but I remembered Charlotte yapping about her cousin one night at the Spur. Ain't hard to put two and two together. He fished the ring from his pocket, that same cheap band, and held it up like a trophy. Brought this for you. Ricky straightened behind the counter, his hand sliding under the register where I'd seen him stash a baseball bat. You know this guy, Roxanne? No, I lied, my voice shaking. He's nobody. Get him out of here. Dwayne took another step, his smile faltering but his eyes burning. Don't be like that, Rox. I drove all night for you. We're family meant to be. 3, Ricky said, raising the bat. 2. Dwayne lunged not at Ricky, but at me. I screamed, stumbling back as his meaty hands grabbed for my arm. Ricky swung, the bat cracking against Dwayne's shoulder with a sickening thud. Dwayne roared, spinning on him, and the two went down in a tangle of fists and curses. I scrambled for the phone, dialing 911 with shaking fingers, my voice a garbled mess as I begged for help. The cops showed up fast. Memphis PD didn't play on Beale Street. They hauled Dwayne off in cuffs, his glare searing into me as they shoved him into the squad car. This ain't over, Roxie, he yelled. Mama's gonna fix this. Ricky wiped blood from his lip, shaking his head. Your family's fucked up, girl. What did you do to piss him off? Exist, I muttered, sinking onto the stool. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. Dwayne finding me wasn't dumb luck, it was a warning. Mom wasn't letting go, and she'd sent her attack dog to drag me back. The air in Ricky's ink smelled like ink and regret, a sour tang that clung to the back of my throat as I scrubbed blood off the tile floor. Dwayne's little visit had left a mess, literal and otherwise, and my hands still shook as I replayed his words. This ain't over, Roxie. Mama's gonna fix this. The cops had hauled him off yesterday, but he was out on bail by morning, a fact that had me jumping at every jangle of the shop's bell. Ricky had taken it in stride, leaning against the counter with a cigarette and a smirk, like brawling with psychos was just another Tuesday. But me, I was a wreck, my nerves frayed like the hem of my old jeans. You okay, Roxanne? Ricky asked, blowing smoke toward the ceiling fan that creaked like it was on its last spin. His busket gleamed under the fluorescent lights, his tattooed arms flexing as he crossed them. No, I said, tossing the rag into a bucket. Dwayne's loose, and he knows where I am. Mom's pulling his strings, and I don't know what she's planning next. He shrugged, tapping ash onto the floor I'd just cleaned. Guy's a meathead, but he ain't invincible. I'll keep the bat handy. You just keep your head down, work the counter. Ain't nobody dragging you out of here. I nodded, but his confidence didn't stick. Mom wasn't just some drunk with a dream, she was a hustler, always had been. That 50 grand inheritance she dangled wasn't a whim, it was a lifeline she'd kill for, and I was the key. I'd barely slept on the cot in the back room, jolting awake every time a car rumbled by on Beale Street, half expecting Dwayne's creepy grin to loom through the cracked window. By noon, I was a zombie, booking tattoo appointments with a voice that sounded like it belonged to someone else. That's when the bell jangled again, and my world tilted off its axis. She strutted in like she owned the place, Mom, Tammy-Lynn Tanner, in all her gaudy glory. Her bleach blonde hair was teased into a frizzy halo, her leopard print dress stretched tight over hips that had borne too many late-night diner runs. She wore knockoff sunglasses perched on her head, a cigarette dangling from lips painted a garish red, and her heels clacked on the tile like a war drum. Behind her trailed Earl, Dwayne's dad, his barrel chest straining a faded Leonard Skinner tee, his mustache drooping over a scowl. They were a matched set of trailer park royalty, and they'd come to reclaim their prize. Roxanne Marie, Mom barked, planting her hands on her hips. You think you can just run off like some ungrateful little brat? We got business to settle, girl. I froze, the phone slipping from my hand to clatter on the counter. Mom, Earl, what the hell are you doing here? Ricky straightened, his hand inching toward the bat. This your folks. Unfortunately, I muttered, stepping out from behind the counter. How'd you find me? Mom smirked, popping her gum. Dwayne called last night, crying about how you sixed the cops on him. Took us all of 10 minutes to figure you'd run to Charlotte's kin. Earl borrowed Big Jim's F-150, and here we are. Now, you're coming home, Roxie. We got a wedding to plan. A wedding? I choked out, my voice rising. You're still on this. I'm not marrying Dwayne, he's a creep, and you're insane. Earl stepped forward, his voice a low growl. Watch your mouth, girl. Dwayne's my boy, and he's got a good heart. You'd be lucky to have him. Lucky? I snapped. He's got a shoebox full of pictures of me sleeping. He showed up here yesterday trying to drag me off. That ain't a good heart, that's a restraining order waiting to happen. Mom waved a hand, dismissing me like I was a fly buzzing around her picnic. He's just passionate, Roxie. Loves you something fierce. And this ain't negotiable. Earl's mama's money's on the line. 50 grand, baby. You marry Dwayne, we split it. And everybody wins. Except me, I said, my fists clenching. I'm not your damn pawn, Mom. You want the money. Marry Dwayne yourself. Earl's face turned red, his mustache twitching. Don't you sass your mama, girl. We drove 8 hours to fix this mess you made. Dwayne's waiting back at the motel, poor boy's heartbroken. Ricky stepped between us, bat resting on his shoulder like a casual threat. Y'all need to leave. Roxanne's working here now. She ain't going nowhere with you. Mom's eyes narrowed, sizing him up. Who are you, Tata boy? This is family business, stay out it. He's more family than you right now. I shot back. I'm done, Mom. Go home. She laughed, a harsh, grating sound. Oh, honey, you don't get to be done. We got plans, big plans. You'll see. They left after that, but not before Mom tossed a motel keycard on the counter with a smirk. Room 12, budget in. Come talk when you wise up. Earl grunted something about fixin' this, and they stormed out, leaving a cloud of cigarette smoke and menace in their wake. I sank onto the stool, my head in my hands. They're not giving up, Ricky. They'll keep comin'. Then we'll keep swinging, he said, lighting another cigarette. But you better figure out what they're really after. That money talk sounds like bullshit to me. He was right, it didn't add up. 50 grand was a lot, but Mom chasing me across state lines with Earl and Dwayne in tow. That was desperation, not greed. I called Charla that night, pacing the back room while Muffin's purring echoed through the phone. They're here, I said, my voice low. Mom and Earl showed up at the shop, pushing the Dwayne thing hard. Something's off, Charla. This ain't just about a condo. She cursed, loud and creative. Tammy's unhinged, rocks. I poked around after you left, talked to Big Jim at the Spur. He says Earl's been bragging about some big score, but he's in debt up to his eyeballs. Owes 10 grand to a bookie in Knoxville, plus back taxes. That inheritance might be their only way out. Debt, I said, my stomach sinking. So they're not just greedy, they're desperate. Desperate enough to drag you back in chains, she said. Watch your back, girl. Dwayne's bad, but Tammy and Earl together, that's a whole nother beast. I hung up, uneasy knowing at me. Debt explained the urgency, but not the marriage obsession. There was more to this, something uglier lurking under the surface. I didn't have long to dwell on it, though, because the next day brought a new ghost from my past crashing through the door. His name was Travis Boone, and he walked into Ricky's Inc. like he owned the street outside. 6 feet of trouble, lean muscle, dark hair slicked back with too much gel, a smirk that had charmed me stupid at 18. He wore a leather jacket patched with cigarette burns, jeans that hugged him too tight, and a pair of aviators he didn't take off even indoors. Travis was my ex, my first love, my first heartbreak, the guy who'd stolen my heart and my car keys in the same weekend. We'd been hot and heavy for a year before he ditched me for a bartender named Candy, leaving me with a busted heart and a pawn promise ring. Roxie Tanner, he drawled, leaning on the counter. Heard you were in town. Looking good, babe. I crossed my arms, my pulse kicking up despite myself. Travis, what are you doing here? Word travels, he said, flashing that grin that used to melt me. Ran into a guy at the pool hall last night, big dude. Creepy eyes, said he's looking for his fiancée. Figured it was you, especially when he mentioned your mama's in town. Dwayne, I muttered, my stomach twisting. He's not my fiancé, he's my stepbrother. And a psycho. Travis raised an eyebrow, sliding the aviators down his nose. Stepbrother, huh? That's messed up, even for you. What's the deal? I hesitated, but Travis had a way of pulling secrets out of me like loose threads. I spilled it all: Mom's plan, Dwayne's obsession, the inheritance, Earl's debt. Ricky watched from the corner, silent but tense, as Travis listened, his smirk fading into something sharper. Sounds like a shit show, he said when I finished. But I might can help. Still got connections round here, could dig into this money thing. See what's what. Why would you? I asked, suspicious. You ditched me, Travis. Why care now? He shrugged, but his eyes lingered too long. Maybe I owe you one. Maybe I just like a good fight. Up to you, babe. I didn't trust him, not fully, but I was drowning, and he was a lifeline, crooked as it was. Fine, I said. Dig. But don't screw me over again. Wouldn't dream of it, he said, winking as he sauntered out. Ricky snorted once the door shut. That guy's trouble, Roxanne. You sure about this? No, I admitted, but I'm out of options. Trouble didn't even cover it. 2 days later, the bell jangled again, and in walked Darlene, Earl's sister, all fake tan and beehive hair, her leopard print dress screaming 1980s prom queen gone feral. She tossed a manila envelope on the counter, popping her gum like a gunshot. You Roxanne? She asked, eyeing me like I was roadkill she might scrape up. Yeah, I said. Wary. Who are you? Darlene. Earl's sister, your step-aunt, I guess. Got something you need to see. She tapped the envelope with nails painted hot pink. I opened it, my hands cold. Inside were papers, wills, bank statements, and a photo of Earl grinning next to a safe. The top sheet read, Last will and testament of Marjorie and Pritchard. Earl's mom. The inheritance. What's this? I asked, looking up. Darlene leaned in, her perfume choking me. That's 50 grand Earl's sittin' on, sweetie. But here's the kicker. Mama Pritchard left a condition. Money only goes to Earl if Dwayne marries and has a baby by his 25th birthday 6 months from now. No wife, no kid, the cash goes to me. My jaw dropped, the pieces slamming into place. So Mom and Earl want me to marry Dwayne and pop out a brat. Yeah, she finished, grinning like a shark. Tammy called me last week, bragging about her plan. Said you're the perfect fit. But I ain't letting that money slip away, Roxanne. I'm here to make you an offer. What kind of offer? I asked, my voice tight. 5 grand, she said, tapping the counter. Take it, disappear somewhere Dwayne can't sniff you out. I get the inheritance, you get freedom. Win-win. 5 grand. Enough to run, really run. But trusting Darlene felt like handing a loaded gun to a toddler. And if I say no? She shrugged, popping her gum again. I tell Dwayne where you're at. He's already calling me, begging for leads. Boy's obsessed. Your choice, sugar. I stared at the envelope, my mind racing. Mom, Earl, Dwayne, now Darlene all playing me like a fiddle in their greasy little orchestra. Travis was digging, but he was a wild card. Ricky had my back, but he couldn't fight them all. And 5 grand or not, I wasn't sure I could outrun this mess or if I even wanted to anymore. Maybe it was time to stop running and start swinging. The air in Ricky's ink was thick with tension and the sour tang of spilled beer, a bottle I'd knocked over when Darlene dropped her bombshell. 5 grand to run or Dwayne hunting me down like a dog. Her manila envelope sat on the counter like a live grenade, the will inside spelling out the stakes. Earl's 50 grand inheritance hinged on Dwayne marrying and breeding by 25, 6 months away. If not, Darlene got the cash. Mom and Earl were desperate to lock me in, and Darlene was desperate to cut me out. I was the rope in their tug-of-war, and the rope was fraying fast. Ricky leaned against the wall, whirling the baseball bat like a baton, his dark eyes flicking between me and the door. You talkin' her money, Roxanne. 5 grand's a decent haul. I shook my head, shoving the envelope away. Can't trust her. She'd sell me out to Dwayne the second I turned my back. And runnin' ain't workin'. They keep findin' me. Then what? He asked, lighting a cigarette. You're my and that creep ain't backin' off. Neither's this Darlene chick. I don't know, I admitted, rubbing my temples. Travis is digging into it, maybe he'll turn up something I can use. But I'm done being their puppet. I need a plan. Travis Boone, my slick-talking ex, was a gamble, but he was all I had. He'd swaggered back into my life 2 days ago, promising to sniff out dirt on Mom and Earl's scheme. I didn't trust him further than I could throw him, but his street smarts were sharper than mine, and I was drowning in this mess. Mom and Earl crashing the shop yesterday had lit a fire under Room 12 at the budget and loomed like a trap waiting to snap shut. Dwayne was out there, too, licking his wounds and plotting. I could feel his pale eyes on me even now, a shiver I couldn't shake. The bell jangled, and I jumped, but it was just Travis, sauntering in with that cocky grin, aviators perched on his nose. He carried a crumpled paper bag, the kind you'd stash a bottle in, but when he dumped it on the counter, a stack of papers spilled out, photos, receipts, scribbled notes. Found your gold mine, babe, he said, leaning in close enough I could smell his cheap cologne. Your stepdaddy's in deeper shit than you thought. I grabbed the papers, my hands trembling. What did you get? He smirked, pulling a photo from the pile, shaking hands with a wiry guy in a tracksuit, a stack of cash on a table between them. Earl's been playing the ponies, owes 15 grand to a bookie named Vito in Knoxville. Guys connected. Roxie. Bad news. That inheritance ain't just a payout, it's his lifeline. He's got till June to square up, or Vito's boys start breaking legs. 15 grand, I said, my stomach sinking. Charla said 10. It's worse than we thought. Gets better, Travis said, tapping a receipt. Your ma's in on it, been wiring cash to Earl from her diner tips, but it's peanuts. They're counting on that 50 grand to clear the slate and pocket the rest. And here's the kicker. He slid a blurry photocopy of the will across the counter. Darlene wasn't lying. Old Lady Pritchard's will says Dwayne's gotta marry and have a kid by 25, or the money flips to her. But there's a clause. If Dwayne's declared unfit mental health, criminal record, whatever the estate goes to charity. Earl and Tammy are racing the clock. I stared at the will, my mind spinning. Unfit? Dwayne's a nutcase, those Polaroids, the stalking. Could we use that? Maybe, Travis said, shrugging. But you'd need proof, and fast. Earl's debt's got a deadline, and your must not waitin'. Ricky snorted, blowing smoke. So they're broke, desperate, and betting on Roxie playin' baby factory. That's fucked. Yeah, I said, a spark igniting in my chest. But if Dwayne's unfit, they get nothin'. I could turn this around, hit 'em where it hurts. Travis raised an eyebrow. You're playin' with fire, babe. They'll fight dirty. Let 'em, I said, my voice hardening. I'm done runnin'. That night, I hatched a plan, risky, reckless, but mine. Step 1. Proof of Dwayne's crazy. I had the burned Polaroids in my memory, but I needed more, something concrete. Step 2. Expose Earl's debt and Mom's scheming. Maybe tip off this veto guy to tighten the screws. Step 3. Darlene. She wanted the money, I could use her, play her against them. It was a house of cards, but I'd built worse with less. The next morning, I was behind the counter when the bell jangled again. This time, it was Mom and Dwayne together, a double-barreled nightmare. Mom stormed in, her hair a frizzy mess, her dress swapped for a stained tracksuit that screamed hangover. Dwayne loomed behind her, his flannel unbuttoned, his pale eyes glinting with that sick hunger. He clutched a plastic bag, and my gut twisted when I saw the ring box inside. Roxanne? Mom barked, slamming her purse on the counter. This ends now. You're comin' with us. Dwayne's got the motel room ready, preachers on speed dial. We're setting this right. I backed up, my heart hammering. You're insane? I'm not going anywhere. Dwayne stepped forward, his voice a low rasp. Don't fight it, Roxie. I love you, always have. We'll be happy. He opened the box, revealing that chipped silver ring, and held it out like a proposal from hell. Ricky grabbed the bat, but Mom was faster. She yanked a can of mace from her purse and sprayed it, not at Ricky, but at me. I screamed, my eyes burning as I stumbled back, clawing at my face. Dwayne lunged, his hands clamping around my arms, and I thrashed, kicking wildly. Ricky swung the bat, catching Dwayne's knee with a crack, but Mom tackled him, screeching like a banshee. It was chaos, fists, curses, the bell jangling as the door flew open. Freeze? A voice roared. Cops, 2 of them, guns drawn, storming in. Someone must have called, maybe a client outside. Dwayne let go, dropping to his knees, and Mom froze, mace still in hand. I coughed, tears streaming, as the officers cuffed them both, reading rights over Mom's shrieking protests. Assault with a weapon, one cop muttered, nodding at the mace. You're going downtown. They hauled Mom and Dwayne out, but not before Dwayne's eyes locked on mine, a promise of worse to come. I sank to the floor, gasping, Ricky cursing as he rubbed his bruised ribs. You okay? He asked, helping me up. No, I rasped, wiping my face. But this is my shot. They just handed me proof. The cops took statements, and I played the victim hard. Dwayne's stalking, the mace attack, Mom's threats. They booked them both, and I knew it wouldn't stick long, misdemeanors at best, but it was a start. I had a police report now, a paper trail to Dwayne's crazy. Step 1, check. Travis showed up an hour later, whistling at the mess. Heard the ruckus from across town. You're stirring the pot, babe. Had to, I said, showing him the report. This nails Dwayne: assault, stalking. If we dig up more, we can prove he's unfit. Earl and Mom lose everything. He grinned, dangerous and sharp. Then let's dig. I got a buddy who owes me private eye type. He'll tell Dwayne, get pics, whatever you need. Do it, I said, and find Vito. If Earl's scared, he might crack. Travis saluted and sauntered off, leaving me with Ricky and a plan taking shape. I called Darlene that night, her voice syrupy with suspicion when she picked up. What you want, sugar? She asked. You're $5,000, I lied. But I need a favor first. Meet me tomorrow, Ricky's Inc. Bring dirt on Earl's debt. We can bury them together. She laughed, low and mean. You're playing my game now, huh? All right, girl. I'll bite. I hung up, adrenaline pumping. Mom and Dwayne were down but not out. Earl was still loose, and the clock was ticking. But for the first time, I wasn't the prey, I was the hunter. The next day dawned gray and heavy, storm clouds rolling over Memphis like a bad omen. Ricky's Inc. buzzed with tension. I'd barely slept, pacing the back room, the police report clutched like a lifeline. Mom and Dwayne were out on bail by morning, according to the cops, and Earl was still holed up at the Budget Inn, plotting God knows what. Travis's private eye buddy was on Dwayne's tail, and Darlene was due any minute with her dirt. My counter-strike was in motion, but it felt like juggling knives in a hurricane. One slip, and I'd bleed out. Darlene strutted in at noon, her beehive defying gravity, her leopard print purse bulging. She tossed a folder on the counter, smirking like a cat with a mouse. You wanted dirt, sugar. Here's a shovelful. I flipped it open. Bank statements, IOS, a grainy photo of Earl handing cash to Vito, the Knoxville bookie. A handwritten note detailed Earl's debts, 15 grand plus interest, due in 3 months. Darlene had circled a line in red. Collateral offered inheritance payout. Earl's promise in Vito the 50 grand, she said, popping her gum. But he's gotta get it first. That's where you come in or don't, if we play this right. I nodded, my plan sharpening. Dwayne's unfit assault charged now. More comin'. If we prove it, the money's gone. Earl's screwed, Vito comes Callan, and you're in the clear. She grinned, all teeth. I like you, Roxanne. Here's your 5 grand. She slid an envelope across the counter, fat with bills. Take it and run after we torch him. I took it, but not to run. Deal. Let's meet tonight, budget in. And this, she agreed, clacking out in her heels, and I tucked the cash away. Step 2. Leverage Earl's fear. Travis rolled in an hour later, his leather jacket damp from the drizzle starting outside, a manila envelope in hand. Jackpot, he said, dumping photos on the counter. Dwayne lurking outside the shop. Dwayne buying rope at a hardware store. Dwayne staring at my window from across the street. My guy's good. And Vito. Found him, slimy bastards eager to chat. Says Earl's been dodging calls. 1 word from you, and he'll send muscle. Perfect, I said. The photo's a goldmine. Call Vito. Tell him Earl's inheritance is a bust. Dwayne's going down. No payout. Let's see Earl squirm. Travis dialed, his voice smooth as he fed Vito the line. I heard shouting on the other end, then a cold promise. He's done. Step 2. Check. By dusk, the storm hit, rain lashing Beale Street, thunder rumbling like a warning. Ricky drove me to the Budget Inn, the bat on the seat beside him. Darlene waited in the lot, leaning against a cherry-red Camaro, umbrella twirling. Travis pulled up in his beat-up Charger, grinning like a kid on Christmas. The motel glowed neon through the downpour, room 12's light flickering. Ready? Ricky asked, gripping the bat. Yeah, I said, clutching the photos. The police report, Darlene's folder. Let's finish it. We marched to room 12, rain soaking us as I pounded on the door. Earl yanked it open, his face red, his shirt stained with sweat. Mom stood behind him, cigarette trembling, and Dwayne loomed in the corner, his eyes wild. What the hell? Earl started, but I cut him off, shoving the papers in his face. It's over, I said. Dwayne's unfit assault, stalking, these pictures. The will's void. You get nothing. And Vito knows his boys are coming for your 15 grand. Mom paled, the cigarette dropping. Roxie, what did you do? Saved myself, I snapped. You sold me out, now you're paying. Darlene stepped forward, smirking. Inheritance is mine, Earl. Shoulda kept your boy on a leash. Earl lunged, but Ricky swung the bat, cracking his shin. Earl howled, collapsing, and Dwayne charged straight into Travis, who tackled him to the floor. Mom screamed, clawing at me, but I shoved her back, the 5 grand falling from my jacket. Take it, I yelled, kicking it toward her. That's all you're getting. Run while you can. Thunder crashed as they scrambled, Earl limping. Mom grabbing the cash, Dwayne thrashing under Travis. Darlene laughed, a hyena in heels, and I stood there, soaked and shaking, watching my family unravel. The cops showed up minutes later. Someone called about the noise. Dwayne went down for assault again, Earl for outstanding warrants, Vito tipped off, and Mom for abetting. Darlene vanished with her Camaro and the inheritance claim, and I didn't care. Travis dusted himself off, winking at me. Told ya I help, babe, he said. Yeah, I said, exhausted. Thanks. Ricky clapped my shoulder. You're free, Roxanne. What now? I looked at the rain, the motel, the wreckage. Start over. For real this time. We walked back to the shop, the storm fading, and I didn't look back. Mom wanted me to marry Dwayne and have his child, but I burned their twisted dream to ash and walked away on my own terms. And that's the end of this story. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next videos. See you in the next one.